In one of the driest places on Earth, ancient humans carved messages into the desert so large they can only truly be seen from the sky. Miles of perfectly straight lines, massive geometric shapes, and giant figures of animals stretching hundreds of feet across the sand. They are known as the Nazca Lines, and for nearly 1,500 years they have waited in silence. No mountains overlooking them, no ancient skyscrapers, no aircraft. So why did ancient people create artwork they could not fully see? Travel to southern Peru. The Nazca Desert is vast, flat, endless, windswept and dry beyond imagination. Rain rarely falls here, which is one reason the lines survived. To create them, the Nazca people simply removed the dark, reddish surface stones. Underneath was lighter-colored earth. By scraping away a few inches of rock, they revealed pale lines against the desert floor. Simple technique, but massive scale. Some lines stretch for miles in perfect alignment. The animal figures, the hummingbird, the monkey, the spider, the condor, can be longer than a football field, and they were made between roughly 500 BCE and 500 CE, long before satellites, long before hot air balloons, long before airplanes. For centuries, no one outside the region truly understood their scale. It wasn't until the 20th century, when pilots flew overhead, that the full images became visible. Suddenly, the world saw what the Nazca people had created: giant sky drawings. From the air, they look intentional, designed to be viewed from above, and that realization sparked endless speculation. Were they messages to the gods? Signals to beings in the sky, ancient runways, or something far more human? The alien theory gained popularity in the 1960s and 70s. The idea was simple: if the designs are best seen from above, maybe they were meant for visitors from above. It's dramatic, it's cinematic, but there is no archaeological evidence of extraterrestrial contact, no advanced materials, no unusual tools. What archaeologists have found instead are ropes, wooden stakes, and simple measuring tools. In fact, some stakes used to mark straight lines have been carbon dated. They match the Nazca period, which suggests something extraordinary. These lines were made by human hands, with simple technology but remarkable planning. How do you draw a perfectly straight line for miles? You use stakes and rope. Anchor one end, stretch the rope tight, walk forward, repeat, over and over. And if you want to scale up a drawing, you use a grid: small sketch on cloth, large grid mapped onto the desert, each square enlarged proportionally. The same method artists use today. No aircraft required. So if the Nazca people could create them without flying, why did they? One leading theory connects the lines to water. Water was life in the Nazca Desert. Rain was rare. Rivers were seasonal. Underground aquifers were precious. Some researchers believe the lines were part of ritual pathways, ceremonial routes walked during prayers for rain. Many lines lead toward mountains. In Andean belief systems, mountains were sacred. They were seen as powerful spirits, providers of water. Other lines align with solstices and astronomical events. Some researchers argue certain shapes point toward where the sun rises or sets during key times of year. But not all alignments are consistent, which means astronomy alone does not explain everything. Then there are the animals: the spider, the hummingbird, the monkey. Why those creatures? Some may represent constellations, others may symbolize fertility or survival. The spider, for example, is associated with rain in some Andean traditions. The hummingbird is a symbol of life and movement. The condor was sacred, believed to connect the earthly world with the heavens. Perhaps the Nazca Lines were a massive ceremonial landscape, a sacred canvas meant not for human spectators, but for spiritual forces. In many ancient cultures, rituals were not about being seen by crowds. They were about being seen by the divine. From that perspective, the sky becomes the audience. Not airplanes, not tourists, but gods. And if the purpose was ritual, then visibility from above makes sense, not for aliens, but for belief. Archaeological excavations have uncovered offerings near some lines, pottery fragments, ceremonial items, evidence of gatherings. This suggests the lines were active spaces, not just artwork, places people walked, prayed, performed rituals. Some lines are wide enough to function as pathways, not random scratches, but intentional routes. And here is something often overlooked. The Nazca civilization thrived in one of the harshest environments on Earth: extreme dryness, fragile ecosystems, water scarcity. Survival required deep environmental knowledge. Creating massive geoglyphs may have reinforced social unity, shared belief, collective identity. When a community participates in building something enormous, it binds them together. The act itself becomes meaningful. Perhaps the Nazca Lines were less about being seen and more about being made, a physical expression of faith and cooperation. But mystery remains. Why such scale? Why so many lines? Over 800 straight lines, hundreds of geometric shapes, dozens of animal figures. It wasn't a single project. It spanned generations, which means knowledge was passed down, techniques preserved, intent maintained. And then the Nazca civilization declined. Environmental changes, flooding events linked to El Niño, deforestation, resource strain. By around 750 CE, the culture had faded, but the lines remained, protected by the desert's dryness, unseen in their full glory until modern flight. Today, they are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, monitored, studied, preserved, and still debated. Modern drones have discovered even more geoglyphs nearby, some smaller, some previously unnoticed, which suggests the desert still holds secrets. So why did ancient humans create giant sky messages? Because they weren't sky messages in the way we imagine. They were ground-level expressions of belief, rituals carved into earth, conversations between people and their gods, markers of identity in a harsh world. The fact that we see them best from above may be coincidence, or it may reflect a worldview in which the sky was sacred. What we know for certain is this: they did not need advanced machines, they did not need aircraft, they needed planning, community, faith, and patience. The Nazca Lines challenge a modern assumption that complexity requires advanced technology. Sometimes it requires advanced purpose, and perhaps that is the deeper lesson. Ancient humans were not primitive. They were intentional, creative, symbolic, and capable of thinking at enormous scale. The desert still holds their designs, silent, endless, waiting, and every time a plane passes overhead, we glimpse what they may have always imagined: a view from above, a reminder that history is often more profound than speculation. The Nazca Lines are not messages from the sky. They are messages about humanity, about belief, about cooperation, about the need to be remembered. And 1,500 years later, they succeeded.